Good morning and welcome back. Just a little update. Well, she's not actually frozen in yet. The ice is still very, very thin. You can see over here by the shore that it's still broken and braided. At the moment, it's probably only like 1/4 of an inch thick or something like that. So there is no wind. So she is resting up against this tiny little pancake of ice. You can see that the mooring lines are slack at the front, but I was down earlier on and she was round the other way. You can see where the reflective areas are and that she's still actually in open water. So the cold weather is still due to be with us for another 24 hours, but I think it's very likely that we'll only get a minimal amount of ice buildup. So this is very good news. It's not possible to go out there at the moment. Trying to get through this with the little boat over here would be nigh on impossible. So just going to kind of take it as read at the moment that everything's okay. I can kick snow down onto it, but then you can see over by the post that it's actually still liquid. So the concern is with this is that a carbon boat like this, it's just a thin scrim of carbon and then foam and then another, more carbon on the inside, everywhere above the waterline. Below the waterline, this boat is mostly monolithic, all the way forward and all the way aft, because this boat was modified for upwind sailing. So I'm not too worried really about the hull. I'm not worried particularly about the sail drive or the propeller. What worries me is the rudders, and you can see, if I can get my finger to them, just at the back of the boat, there's a little notch sticking out of the water. Those two rudders sit at pretty big angles, and obviously if she was to get locked into the ice and then was trying to wiggle and move, then there might be an issue where she might damage one of the rudders. The other worry is that this bay down here, it stretches down and around and then goes back up here and pinches really, really close together, these little headlands over here, as it goes out past Little Herman's Island. If the wind was to come up from the west, from this direction, as the ice was breaking up, then the ice would be pushing its way out down the bay. And that's going to be, if it was thick ice, it'd be pushing against the boat. So I changed her around yesterday from that stable, high wind, stern moored configuration, which works with a boat which is 6 meters across at the stern. Now she's attached by the bow, so in the worst case scenario, if she was to get frozen in and things started to break up, at least she would turn, orientate herself with the wind, and then the ice would make its way down either side of the boat. Quite what damage it would do, I don't know. But at the moment, there's no great worry. There's more concern here from the way it looks than what's actually going on. If you take a pebble and throw it, which I did earlier, it breaks through without even slowing down. So should be good. But yeah, open 60s and cold weather, they just don't mix. The reason that she's still in the water here is that if she goes over to her well, which is her keel well, it's actually incredibly difficult to stop the underlying water, the aquifer under the ground, from filling up the keel well and then locking her keel into the ground, in which case you can't get her back out. She actually needs to be operational in about 40 days. So the weather's going to be cold. It hasn't frozen here for 7 years, so it's unlikely it's going to do it again. The weather report wasn't such that I was worried to get the boat out to deeper water and kind of escape the situation. It's just one of those where ice, carbon boat, I really don't like it. So we'll see. We'll see. It's I think probably by tomorrow, by Sunday, we'll be fine. So I'll give you an update then. These are just little short ones, but it gets me back into it and remind ourselves who we are and what's going on and what's the deal here. So I think you're going to see a very interesting year where we start with this one locked in the ice, and we've got some big adventures ahead, so look out for those. If you haven't already, have a look at the Patreon. That's been absolutely essential. I'm doing all the podcasts now. I'm back on doing these videos. It is really a lifeline for any creators anywhere who are doing stuff like this. It does take a lot of time, maybe not 5 minutes on the phone like this, but for anybody doing anything anywhere, Patreon is a great place to catch up with them, drop a couple coins in the jar, and make things a lot easier for them. So Patreon is there. It's under The Mariner, but there's a link below. But for now, I'm going to go back up the house. I'm going to get the fire in. I'm going to relax. I'm going to make another podcast. So have a look for that if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.